Hello everyone, this is Tribecast episode 57 and my name is Marina. Today we're gonna talk about Tribe Tampere community visual style and general logo creation with Heikki Salo. It's Tribecast, my name is Marina and we're having our guest of this week. Hello Heikki, thank you very much for having time and putting some effort into coming to our cozy studio at P47. For listeners, I'd like to remind that we're back to P47 co-working space because it's open for visits in almost normal terms. There is a bit of a limitation in the size of your group. Please check that information on Tribe Tampere website, www.tribetampere.com. And actually, now I was not mentioning website only to tell you that Tribe is open again for the visits. Let me introduce to you the person who did lots of effort into creating this website and creating Tribe Tampere logo. But first, probably let's go to the personal side. Hello, Heikki. Could you please tell our listeners a few things about yourself?
First of all, thank you for having me here. I'm Heikki Salo, and I work as a UX, UI, service designer, visual designer at InstaDigital. It's formerly Intopalo. On my free time, I do work for Tribe Tampere and also Self-Hack, also known as Creativity Squads. It's been a long process from School of Creativity and Design to Creativity Squads to Self-Hack. And
if you would like to learn more about Creativity Squads, you can check the interview with Vesa-Matti Ruotinen, who talked to us in the very early days of Tribecast. So, Heikki, I did not invite you just because I wanted to, but because I got a request from our audience. So there are people who would like to learn more about your experience and kind of projects that you worked in with Tribe and how it went for you. So could you please tell what projects within Tribe have you been occupied with and what have you done?
My kind of story with Tribe has been quite long. All started with Vesku and actually from Creativity Squads and from New Factory back in the days of 2014 or 15. I joined that project in New Factory on my first year of TAMK, but before that I had already worked as a graphic designer for 5 years, and before that studied graphic design or printing technology and done some computer graphics and graphic design before in middle school. So I had some experience at that point, even when I was a first year student at TAMK. At that point, I was freelancing. We had this small advertising agency / software company, startup. We did a lot of things, which included normal advertising agency stuff, website, web design, kind of web development for certain customers. And then we had our own startup-y tech project, as everyone has today in this decade.
It's kind of funny that every time I do the adjustments to Tribe Tampere website, I got a notification from your email, automatic one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you're sending me some automatic messages. Anyways, the idea is that I even deliberately am wearing Tribe hoodie, like official team hoodie. So could you please describe the logo to our listeners and explain what is it about?
When I joined first core team of Tampere Startup Community Project, we at that point had a space in this secret location kind of planned, and we had a clue about the name, and the project was kind of running. And we had the first kind of logo proposal done, but people had kind of different ideas about the symbolism there, because the logo at that point had this TP in it, and we didn't want to kind of take this cultural thing from minorities or didn't want to commercialize that kind of symbol from minorities. Yeah, we went back to the drawing board with designers involved at that time, and we were thinking like this, what it could be, because we were in this kind of techie startup area. One idea was this kind of cyberpunky text logo, which I actually saw today when I was looking back at those old early stage designs. But I think that didn't even make to the final presentation in the founding meeting. Yeah, we made a few different ideas further. We had kind of ideas from this cyberpunky techie ideas, and then city of Tampere has this history of being old industrial city or town at that point, like between Lielahti and Messukylä, really small trading town. If you look at the city centrum, there's these old brick buildings.
Red brick. It's because we all know where Mirza got the name for his project.
Yeah. And actually, at that point, we were having those meetings at, I think, Pro Academia, which is located at Finlayson, which is exactly that red brick building area. And yeah, that was one idea. Then if you go to more modern industrial complex, like a factory, there are often, or I like to think that there would be, these really large warehouses and premises, and when you look at the walls from the other side, you need to, like, if they read something, you need to actually see it from like 200 meters. So there are huge kind of texts or numbers on the walls, like for example, this is exit something. Those are usually done with very clear fonts, clear typography, and I tried to take that in count in the visual language. So we went with the font Rajdhani. I'm really much destroying that pronunciation. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can find that from Google Fonts. It's very available. It kind of took that idea of clear fonts on the walls, and we could use that. The coat of arms of Tampere has like two colors. There's red and gold. So we tried both of those colors, and they were shown in the founding meeting in 2017. But yeah, we had a vote, and we went with the yellow, and that's kind of where it got decided, like what kind of major style we are going with. The logo wasn't done at that point, so we had this circle idea at that point, but the T wasn't kind of finished yet. But yeah, at that point, when we were kind of building the whole thing, we didn't exactly know what Tribe exactly was going to be. Like, we were thinking, is it going to be this space, or is it going to be the community of different associations and organizations? But one thing was clear, that it's going to be, the visual design is going to be used by a lot of people, and the people are not always designers, and more often they are not going to be designers. Possibly every project is not going to have a designer, so the identity needs to be really easy to use and easy to grasp, like how should I actually use this. So we went with a really simple two-tone coloring. Yeah, the two-color system was made to be really easily understandable, so designers might want to read these design style guides and brand books, but kind of other people probably are not going to do that, which is understandable. yeah, logo shape came from kind of 2 or 3 different ideas. So first of all, the circle around it, it's kind of circle, it's kind of not. The text is in a circle, so everyone can see that there is a circle, but it's also not a closed one. Tribe's original idea was that we are this open community. Anyone can come in, anyone can go out, leave. So that kind of symbolizes that. And also it gave us possibility to make it this icon. So we can, for example, on hoodies, we can just print the icon, not the full text logo, which makes it kind of nicer to wear. In the past, in previous jobs, I've been working with textile prints and all that promotional material a lot. So I kind of knew that would be a good thing to have, this kind of square symbol. And then the kind of second idea in the logo was that we needed some kind of base symbol there. So it became the T as a letter. It took shape from, look at the coat of arms of Tampere. There is this hammer T. And we took inspiration from that. So basically the T kind of looks like a hammer, could be, but not straight away. And today I looked at the old designs, the kind of evolution of the design, and there was a lot of corner pieces. I think it kind of symbolized the kind of that we have a place somewhere and it's safe. So that can be found there. And also the gap in the one arm kind of just makes it more unique. So if that would be just a normal regular T, it wouldn't be that interesting. So that's basically why it is there.
Cool. I mean, I was always curious what's about this separate part of T, so good to know. Thank you. As you know, Heikki, there are lots of early stage startups who come to Tribe Tampere for our acceleration programs, for different kind of services, just looking for co-founders and investors and people to talk to. One of the things that early stage startups face is creating a logo. And of course, it's always easier to find a designer who will do it for you. But I know that some companies still prefer to do some drafts of their own, at least to show something to the designer. So as a person who did so many logos that, quoting you, I cannot remember how many there were, what is, can you give 3 or 4 steps of how to create a logo for a new project?
I don't have any steps in mind, but I have a few pointers there to pick the kind of end result. First of all, is it appropriate? For example, if a punk band logo looks like a logo of a bank, then is it appropriate? Or if some cheap retail store logo looks like a Versace logo, is it appropriate? It kind of defeats the purpose. So kind of design for your audience. And then if you want to be a logo designer, I think you should kind of read about typography, just classical typography. So you kind of know how to break it when you want to, when you need to. So basically logos should be really readable, or if you go for kind of less readable direction, then it needs to have a purpose, why. So for example, you might want to go with this kind of signature style at some point, but most often it's maybe not the best way. And even in these signature styles, you should kind of know the basics of typography, so you can design the letters so people can actually understand it, because it's very easy to go wrong with a signature style when, for example, INJ looks like a Y, and those are mistakes many of us do, but then we can learn about those. Yeah, so basically, can anyone read your logo? Like, what does it say? And then one thing, is it like interesting? It doesn't need to have any kind of ultimate meaning. It's only a logo. It's a mark. It's a symbol of your brand or your company. But then there's all of the other stuff from your visual identity, like what kind of photos you use, what kind of colors you use, how do you use those colors. And then most often, even all the other texts are more visible than your logo. What kind of font do you use on your website or on your brochures, business cards, on your hoodies, on a trade fair, wherever. And then about trade fairs, the kind of fourth thing, that the logo, in the end, it needs to work as a black and white also. So even when we are in the year 2020, most often logos are used on your website, on some kind of electronic screen. But usually for companies, there comes to a point when you need to print your logo on a hoodie, t-shirt, you need to make some stickers for your laptops or whatever. So at that point, there usually comes some kind of restrictions on, like, you can't easily or cheaply use gradients on, for example, t-shirt prints. So it's better to have also this one color option or maybe two colors. Like, for example, Tribe's logo, it's only one color. It's really kind of cheap to print. And yeah, that was one of Tribe's logo's kind of major points. So it's easily reproducible. So in the end, when you're selecting the final logo, kind of four things. Is it appropriate? Is it readable? Is it interesting enough, but still simple enough to work as a black and white?
Thank you very much, Heikki, for this interview. Now we'll know the story of the logo, and I guess the early stage companies who haven't got their logo yet will listen to this episode and learn something new and useful for them. Thank you very much and have a nice weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
This is all for this week. This was Tribecast episode 57 and my name is Marina. Next week, spoiler alert, we are gonna talk about gaming. And for now, I wish you all a safe and pleasant weekend. Check out Tribecast on your favorite platform and stay warm and tuned.